Do you want me to hold that? It was better when I held it.
Wow.
Because I'm quieter.
What do you mean you're quieter?
I am not using my teacher projection voice.
When I'm holding it, you're not?
I don't at all, because I'm having a nice conversation, and I forget that I need to project.
All right, well,
Enunciate.
you can hold the mic this time.
I'm going to. I'm already holding it. I took it from you.
Welcome to Words Are Hard, a writing and editing podcast. I'm your host, Ramsey, the extrovert in charge of keeping the conversation flowing.
And I'm your other host, Rachel, editor, indie author, and English teacher.
Today's episode is on extinct punctuation marks.
Yeah, this one's fun.
This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. Fun fact for you. Around the 5th century BC, the Greeks began using punctuation consisting of vertically arranged dots, usually a dicolon or a tricolon. How is that different than a semicolon?
It's different.
Okay, whatever. As an aid in the oral delivery of texts. After 200 BC, Greek scribes adopted the Theseus system invented by Aristophanes of
Good job.
Byzantium? Sure. Where a single dot called a punctus was placed at one of several heights to denote rhetorical divisions in speech. So a low punctus was a baseline mark off of a comma, K-O-M-M-A, comma, yeah. A punctus at mid-height to mark off a clause or a colon, and a high punctus to mark off a sentence or a periodos? Period. So their periods were at the top of the sentence, or the top of the line, basically, instead of the bottom of the line. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So, all right, take it away.
So you're talking about ancient manuscripts.
Ancient manuscripts, yes.
Yeah. Punctuation being standardized the way that we think of it is a relatively recent development.
Okay.
Like really only in the last few hundred years. It used to be more of a tool for the reader than for the writer.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the writer wouldn't necessarily use punctuation in their manuscripts. It would be the reader going through afterwards and being like, okay, now I need to make sense of this.
You had to edit your own books?
Well, you weren't editing it, but you were marking it to make sense of it. The ancient manuscripts were written without paragraph breaks, line breaks, sometimes even word breaks. So the readers would add the punctuation to clarify. Today's episode, all about extinct punctuation marks. Some of these still kind of exist, but not the way that they were used throughout history.
I've heard of this first one.
Yep. The first one is a pilcrow, which is the paragraph symbol.
Oh, yeah, okay. With the two vertical lines with like a P?
Like a backwards P, yep.
Yeah.
It has always been used to denote a change in topic or in verse, so a new paragraph. Okay. It was always used for the same thing, but it was written directly into manuscripts. So you would have the text that would just all be one big block of text, and then you would write a pilcrow. It wasn't called a pilcrow at the time, but you would make this symbol to show here's a new topic, but it's all in the same line.
That's terrible.
Well, there were reasons for it, but
so what are the reasons for it?
I mean, paper was relatively expensive.
Okay, so your space
the more
saving.
You could fit on a page, the better.
Okay, so instead of what we do where we enter it down to start a new paragraph, they use the pilcrow to denote the change of thought.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So in the Middle Ages, this started to change a little bit. Scribes would leave a space at the beginning of the paragraphs for rubricators to come in and add the pilcrows in red ink. You have like a blank look.
No, I'm picturing that. I've actually seen manuscripts that have the red pilcrow.
Yep. Yeah, so they would come in afterwards and they would add it in like a high contrast ink, so usually red, so that it would stand out in the manuscript.
To really show that there's a change in...
Right, but they didn't always get to it in time. So sometimes the books would be published and they would go out with those empty indents before the rubricators could get in to add the pilcrows. And that is why we have indents at the beginning of paragraphs.
So that just...
Eventually,
they
realized,
like, screw it,
that
what? Actually kind of works.
Right, we have this indent. We don't really need the pilcrow. We have this extra space. And
all right.
it went away. So now the Pilcrow is mainly used as a proofreading mark. It has a few specific
to say put a paragraph
right.
here.
Yep, add a paragraph here. There
Which
are a
it's still
few.
in red in editing.
Yeah, there are a few specific uses for it for legal and academic. It would be used for a very, very specific thing, but otherwise,
I've never come across the Pilcrow.
no, like way above your level of legal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like in the law.
Well, I
like the legislation of the law.
Yeah, I read lots of, like in the creating of the
Yeah.
law. Oh, okay.
So there you go, Pilcrow.
Interesting. Okay, what's the next one?
The next one is a manicule.
Manicule,
which is the little hand that like points to things.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. Now we mostly only see it on like signs and advertising, but it used to be used as an actual like a punctuation mark that was in manuscripts.
What would it point out?
Normally it was used again by readers, not necessarily by writers, to point out annotations in the margins of the text. It started to be more popular in like medieval and Renaissance periods. And then from there, writers started using it to point out their own annotations. And then it turned into kind of more of an advertising tool now.
So I guess I'm a little confused on how one would use it.
You would just draw a little hand on the side of the page to point out a note that you were writing in the margin.
Okay.
So like in school, when you're taking notes and you draw a little arrow off to the side and you write an extra little note in the margin, that's basically what this is.
Okay, so that's a manicule?
Manicule.
Manicule is mani meaning hand?
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay, so what's our next one?
The next one is the percontation mark.
Does that have anything to do with coffee?
No, that's percolate.
Yeah, percontation.
Percontation.
Percontation. Okay.
The percontation mark basically was a kind of irony mark.
Irony? What did this look like?
This was a backwards question mark, the percontation mark specifically. There are a lot of other irony marks.
Okay.
But this one was designed by English printer Henry Denham in the 1580s to denote irony. Specifically, he wanted to show rhetorical questions.
I like this.
Yes. There have been, throughout history, throughout printmaking, throughout printed text, there have been people who are like, oh, we need a better way to show irony or sarcasm.
Yeah, we need a sarcasm font.
Yes. Well, there have been a lot of different attempts to do this.
Okay.
The percontation mark is one. Other irony marks include an inverted exclamation point.
I've seen that.
Sartalics, which are left-leaning italics.
Okay.
Or the snark, which is a tilde over a period.
What's a tilde?
Like the squiggly, like the line over an ñ in Spanish.
Oh, yeah, okay. The two of them put together mean approximately.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you'd have that over a period is called the snark.
I like that.
Or scare quotes around something.
What's a scare quote?
Like air quotes, but written down. So like I would say, we went to the coffee shop when maybe I meant bar instead.
It is just meaning.
Yeah, like the quotes you would put around something to say, this is not what I'm actually talking about.
So it is just quotes, but you need to contextually realize that they're.
Yeah.
It's not like some special punctuation of a.
Nope. It's
just quotes.
Yep.
Okay. I love this.
I thought you might like that.
No, go back up. We're not done talking about that. I love this so much. We really, really need to have a sarcasm font or something to be able to dictate sarcasm, especially in written text. And in the age of texting that we're in now.
Well, there's a lot of like on social media, you see, like maybe you have something in that is meant to be taken sarcastically between slashes, or you have.
I get the one that pops to mind is the uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase.
Yep, that's another way to show.
That's that.
Yep.
Kind of.
Yep.
Thing.
Yeah. So this has been around for a long time, and people find ways to adapt it. Yeah. Before that, even.
Well, yeah.
Because he recognized this was a need.
Right. I love this, and we're gonna. I don't know how, but we're gonna push for something on this podcast, and it's gonna take off globally. It's going to become the thing that's written down that, in another 1,000 years when somebody else is doing a podcast, they're going to say the Words Are Hard podcast were the ones to start this movement.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know what it's going to be or how we're going to do it, but we need to come up with a sarcasm font. So you take all of your linguistic capabilities in your writing, punctuations, come up with something.
There's all these other ones that already exist.
But they're not popular.
Well,
They're
the
not
creation
used.
isn't the problem. I can create anything I want. Getting it out
That's what I'm
and
saying.
getting it to take on is a
Create it.
totally different.
Hashtag.
I don't have that skill set.
Hashtag sarcasm font. Hashtag we can finally sarcasize.
Sarcise. Sarcise is the verb form of sarcasm that I made
I
up.
was right.
And like,
oh,
no, it's not a
dang.
real word. I made it up in high school, which is why you know it because I use it.
Oh,
but no, it is not
whatever.
an actual
Sarcise.
word that other people
Hashtag
use.
sarcise. We're gonna finally do this.
Did you know that the hashtag's actual name is the octothorpe?
I did know that trivia.
Ah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. What's your? Oh, I know this one too.
Yep, my last one is one that most people are probably the most familiar with is the interrobang, which is a combination question exclamation point created by Martin K. Spector in 1962. And it made it onto a typewriter keyboard in 1968. Yep.
So I feel like a lot of these you're saying are extinct, but like I use interrobangs.
Sure. I mean, when I say extinct, I mean that they are not commonly used in most texts. They still exist in the world.
Yeah, because this, what is the actual use of an interrobang? I want to make sure that I'm actually using this right.
It would be to show exclamations with
questions.
That's exactly what you think it is.
Okay, so WTF question mark exclamation point question
Sure,
mark
you could use an interrobang instead. Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, this needs to be a thing.
It is a thing. It's
let's bring this back.
It has had more of a resurgence more recently.
Let's get it on a keyboard again. Let's get it on our phones.
You can use the codes online, and I mean you have text codes that you can use to insert it into.
Well, I mean, why not at that point just do a question mark exclamation point?
Well, that's the thing is
right. But I want on a phone.
You want an actual key.
I want an actual key that's got an interrobang.
No, we need a key for the M dash before we have a key for the interrobang.
No. Interrobang.
Yes. Get out of here. You don't know. Okay, you don't write as much as I do. We need M dashes more than we need interrobangs. I am telling you this.
What do you guys think? Drop it in the comments somewhere. I'd like to hear. Interrobang? Yes. M dash? No.
Get out of here.
That's what I want to hear. You guys back me up on this one. Drop it in the comments.
You don't know.
All right. Is that all you have?
Well, that's 4.
But we're only like 15 minutes in.
Well, I don't know.
This is going to be a short episode today, apparently.
Talk a lot about the word of the day.
I guess this is fine. We'll move on. The word of the day, filigree?
Filigree.
Filigree.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like pedigree?
No.
No? What's a filigree?
This, I was going with the illustrated manuscripts, illuminated manuscripts. That's the word I wanted. Delicate ornamental work of fine silver, gold, or other metal wires, especially lacy jewelers' work of scrolls and arabesques.
So the really ornate text books that have just beautiful artwork on the front of them, that is a filigree.
Yep. The name of that kind of design would be filigree.
Filigree. Where does filigree come from? I'm assuming it's probably Latin, but it kind of sounds French.
It is.
It is French. Look at that.
French-ish. French-leaning.
French-Italian.
Yep, from Italian, from Latin. But filigree itself is more of the French.
Yeah.
We stole from the French after they stole from Italian and Latin.
We stole from a lot of different languages. We should do an episode on
I get into that a little bit in the next episode when we talk about extinct letters.
Oh, perfect. I love that. Beating up other languages in dark alleys and taking their words. Okay, but so I was right. Filigree is French, Italian, Latin, whatever. The first thing it says there is French, so I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
And filigree, thread or wire, or thread or tendon. Ooh, and grain.
Tendon is a nice.
I like.
That's a good visceral. Picture that. That's a good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in making a lot of the books, if you, because I am a nerd when it comes to certain things, I tend to go down super big rabbit holes. But if you look into how books were made,
like with vellum,
what
with vellum?
What's vellum?
The animal skin
Oh
pages.
and they did use tendons to bind books, and they used pieces of bone to make ribbing on things, and cordage and all that kind of stuff. Like, you look into how books were made back then, they're really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to add to that. I like books. Books are awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's quite cool. So to have filigree in here, I think is pretty cool.
Thank you.
So, all right. Do you have any books that have filigree on them?
I mean, not to this extent.
Not like
It's
actual.
printed filigree, but
It's printed. Okay.
sure.
And your the first word weaver has. Would you say that has filigree on the cover?
It's a vector design, but yeah.
Well, I know it's a
Yeah.
designed thing, but
To mimic filigree. Yeah.
to mimic it. Okay. You don't have any of your ancient dictionaries?
They're not ancient.
Okay, they're
The oldest.
It's like 1760.
No, the oldest one I have is the 1880s, and it's a
So
pocket dictionary.
110 years
So
old.
it has absolutely no filigree.
But you don't have any of those dictionaries don't have anything?
No, most of the dictionaries that I have, listeners, I collect dictionaries.
Oh yeah, we should make that known.
I have a lot from different publishers and also from different
Languages.
years of publication. Different languages too.
Languages, a German English dictionary. That was
Yeah.
the 1881 you were talking about.
No, I have one. It's a farmer's pocket dictionary from the
Oh.
1880s. My German English dictionary is a little bit later, early 1900s. But no, none of them have filigrees. Most of them are, I mean, the ones that survive from those time periods that I would have access to are ones that were like from classrooms or like a household dictionary that gets sold at auction.
Yeah, okay. I would love to see you have a antique book collection from, the 1700s.
That would be really cool.
And super expensive.
But then you get to the point where you need like the right kind of air in the room.
I've been
and humidity and
the humidity is the biggest one. I've been seeing a lot of TikTok ones where they're saying it's really not as hard as you think it is.
No, but you have to set it up and you have to have
that's true.
And with small children, that's just not a good combination.
Fair enough.
Down the road someday, maybe, but.
So filigree, that's our word of the day today. Yeah. And if you enjoyed the show today, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Share with your friends or someone who needs to learn some grammar. You can also sign up for Rachel's editing newsletter at rosedeanediting.com. That's ROSEDENE editing.com. And join us next week as we dive into.
See if you remember. I told you what it was going to be.
Extinct letters.
There we go.
Join us next week as we dive into extinct letters. Remember, words are hard.
We're here to help.